Time travel after school. I live in an area north of Toronto called Thornhill. It's an older area, first discovered and settled in the mid-1700s, but mostly not developed until mid to late 1800s. Over the years, there have been plenty of strange happenings in the area, and being born in the mid-80s and not having internet as a child, I know a lot of them. I had never experienced anything weird beyond a light in the sky, easily dismissed as a satellite, or a noise in the field near my house. That was probably a possum until close to the end of elementary school. In early spring of 7th grade, my friend Andrew and I were walking over to his place after school to hang out for a bit. It wasn't too far from school, maybe 1.5 kilometers at most. To get to his house, we had to walk through an area of Old Thornhill, called that because of its heritage buildings and almost cottage-like atmosphere. On the way to his house is an Anglican church with a public park and heritage house behind it. Not only did this happen to be a shortcut to his house, it was also extremely creepy. We started walking down the path despite my objections, and made it past the clearing and onto the heritage grounds. Here's what's really strange. There was a wedding going on right behind the house in an open field, now has benches and historical information next to the path we had to take. Neither of us heard the wedding as we walked up or even really noticed it until we were already there. Everyone was dressed amazingly, men in fine suits, women in nice dresses, really old world looking garments. Not wanting to disturb the party, Andrew and I snuck past it and made it to the front gate, which turned out to be locked. We tried to lift his bike over the fence but couldn't get it over, so we gave up and went back to take the long way. The path we were on is only 30 or 40 feet from where the wedding was, so we walked back quietly. The strange thing was, when we looked over at where the group was, nothing was there. We walked back up the path over to the yard, nothing there. Not so much as a mark in the grass, of a chair or a footprint in the dirt. I've been back there a few times since, but I've never seen anything unusual go on. Smith Middle School after midnight. This is a true story. When I was 8 years old, my mom used to take me to her work. She was a janitor doing the graveyard shift at Smith Middle School. It was this middle school in York, PA. It's still there. There's still classes, and in my opinion, still haunted. The school was built on top of a cemetery, kind of. They had to move part of the cemetery that is now behind the school to make room. Some bodies were lost. I remember the one night I stayed up till 3 in the morning. I remember it clearly because it was the latest I've ever stayed up, and I was really excited. My mom always told me not to leave her office. She always told me of weird things that would happen in that school after dark. I got bored waiting around for her to get back, so I started walking around the school. I was heading up to the 3rd floor. That's where she worked most of the time. Nothing seemed off about the school. Everything seemed pretty normal. The lights were on, and at the end of the hall, I could hear one of the janitors passing the wax machine. Right as I'm about to pass the stairs, I turn back and go to the bathroom, because I had to go take a piss. I go inside the bathroom, I hear the sinks, they were on. My first thought was, one of the janitors was in there, but as I stepped in, the sinks turned off. I saw it with my own eyes. The lever went down. As it turned off by themselves, the shiver went down my spine and I ran out. When I got out of the bathroom, I heard a noise coming from the girls' bathroom. It sounded like a bunch of girls teasing some other girl, like some bullying thing. I heard laughing, followed by a girl crying. It was awkward. I heard the girl crying, talking to herself. She was crying over some baby that she killed. As soon as I heard that, I started running, because I heard footsteps coming out of the bathroom. I hid in the corner of the hall, but no one ever came out. I walked up the steps towards the second floor. On my way to the second floor, I heard the slam of a door. When I got up there, I realized it was the double doors. This kept happening the entire time while on the second floor. The double doors kept getting slammed. I met up with one of the janitors. I don't remember his name, but he was new. He asked me if I wanted to help out while he passed the wax machine. He told me, "Just keep the double doors open, okay? I don't know why they always do this, and it's only on this floor." So while he was passing the wax machine, I walked around the second floor to make sure the double doors were open. While I was doing that, I noticed there was a shadow behind me. Now my glasses did this weird thing where I can sometimes see things behind me if there's some glare from the light. It was a shadow of a girl. Only reason I say it's a girl is because the hair was long. She kept following me the whole time, and I realized she was the one slamming the double doors. Every time I turned around to see if she was there, the shadow would disappear, but when I opened up the double doors, she'd be right behind me, and then the doors would slam. She got so close I ran back to the janitor and told him I had to go upstairs to see my mom. While walking out the stairs, there was a sound of someone running right past me. I thought they were going to hit me, so I ran as fast as I could to the third floor. When I finally got up there, I suddenly heard a woman crying. One of the classroom doors were open. I thought my mom was in there, so I walked by to take a peek. As I walked closer, the crying got louder. It sounded like a middle-aged woman. I couldn't really tell. I just knew it wasn't some girl or my mom at all. I hear her crying about her husband. "I hate you. I hate you. I hate you." I heard that same phrase repeated several times before it calmed down, and I had the guts to step inside to the room. The shadow was sitting in the teacher's chair. No clear face, just a shadow. And it seemed to not notice me or not even care about me. She stood up from the chair, and the shadow floated right out of the window. I couldn't say a word. I couldn't take a step. I was paralyzed. The only thing that moved me was the sudden chill all around the room. I had goosebumps all over, and the shadow appeared again in the chair crying. Took my chance and ran looking for my mom. I heard the wax machine she was using and ran towards the sound. My mom saw me running towards her, and she asked me, what was I doing up here, and why wasn't I asleep yet? I told her what happened, and she held my hand going downstairs. She told me not to leave the office. Before she left the office, she looked back at me and said, "I told you weird things happen here." I woke up around 7 in the car. She was taking me home. A few years later, I had a dream about it, so I asked my mom about the classroom and the shadow. I never told her I had gone in the classroom. She looked at me as if she was thinking, "How'd you get into the classroom?" She paused for a couple seconds and told me, "You know the principal of the school, he married one of the teachers. He had an affair, and she caught him in the middle of it. She was so mad, she went up to her classroom and locked herself in there. She cried all day. I think when school was just about to get out, she got tired of crying and she jumped out the window. That classroom has been locked ever since, and I don't even have the key. The key went missing a few years before I even started working at the school." Explored a haunted state school. Hello, this is my first time posting here, and I'm not great at explaining stuff, so sorry in advance for this mess. I don't want to say the name of the place, because we plan to return and would rather keep it private. So, I'll start with how we found this place. Me and a friend spent a few weeks browsing the internet, looking for some creepy places to go exploring that were somewhat close by to us. Most were already demolished or being renovated, or still businesses running in some graveyards. We then found a creepy description of a place that talked about being home to evil spirits and deemed unsafe because of them. And on top of that, it was still standing and closed a few years ago. In total, we have taken around 6 trips to this place because it has around 40 buildings, not including cottages, dorms, that are all of decent size. The first trip we had a group of 3. We have a map of the place, so we know the general locations of the places. This was a trip to see if the place was fully closed and still standing. We parked on the school grounds for this trip and checked out 3 buildings. The first building we checked out was a music hall, which was uneventful. We then moved on to a chapel building. This was the cleanest building we found. I had a weird feeling about it, but I didn't notice anything besides that. All the doors were unlocked, besides one that we assumed led outside. On the way out, both my friends said they heard a bang from a viewing-type platform near the back of the chapel. The last building we visited on the first trip was a nursery school building. Some reason random lights in this place were on. We assume it was because the school shut down only a few years ago, so we started down the hall on the first floor. Up until this point, the only light on was the entrance light. All the classrooms were off. This one random classroom had a light on, so my friend flipped the switch off, then back on, and within a second of it turning back on, we all heard a loud bang from directly above us on the second floor. We then proceeded into the basement, where nothing eventful happened. The second trip, there was 3 people again, but we took a different friend who had a nice quality video camera, since the first no longer wanted to go. The first thing we did was check out the chapel again. Nothing really happened here, except the new person we took opened the door that we seemingly locked without any effort. After that happened, we scouted out the main building we wanted to go to. The place had fences all around, since it was set for demo. While planning what to do, we all had the feeling of being watched from the path we just took. We decided not to try and get into this building for now, since everything just seemed a little bit off. We decided to explore the storage house next door to it, which we thought was a hospital, because we got lost on the map. We were entering this building from the bottom half, and it was locked tight at the main door. We decided to try a creepy-looking basement door that was somewhat rotted and shut tight with plants and mud. We entered the basement and saw a metal door at the other end, which was only around 20 feet away. My friend pulled at the door, but it seemed stuck. As he turned around to say it was stuck, it opened on its own. It looked like a maintenance tunnel, so we did not enter. This is where the camera was a plus to have. A day after we left, the person with the camera, who is my friend's friend, told us to come to his house because he caught something on it. The video he shows us is when he first walked into the basement, and no one is talking at this point. When on the video we hear, "Get out of here," in a woman's voice. He responds to the voice happening on the video, which it seemed only he heard at the time. On the video, it looked like there was a woman leaning on a table facing away from us, but we're not able to tell. Hope you enjoyed this read, and I'm sorry if it is a mess. Friend disappeared into thin air. First time ever posting on Reddit, so forgive me if I'm in the wrong sub. I've also posted this in Glitch in the Matrix, mainly to try to get a variety of ideas and opinions on what happened. Also, I'm using a throwaway username as my usual one is pretty unique, and will take you straight to my social media if entered into Google. I've been lurking on these subs for a while now, and I found myself wishing I had a story to tell, when I realized that I have one. I'd just forgotten about it over 20 years now. So when I was a kid, myself, my brother, my sister, and my mom lived in a run-down old house that was built by my granddad. The house itself was pretty battered, but not a bad place to live, except for the creepy room at the bottom of a corridor that we were not allowed to go into. Not for any reason other than it being friggin' dangerous in there. It was my granddad's old workshop, and since we have lived there, say, 7 to 8 years, no one had used it. It was full of sharp, rusty tools, spiders, and dust. My mom kept it locked at all times, and since it was full of junk, we didn't really need to ever unlock it. I don't remember ever seeing a key to its door until the day this incident happened. To set the scene a little, my dad was and still is an amazing carpenter and has made my sister and I cabin beds. They were about 4 feet off the ground, underneath mine. I had a little shop with shelves and a window for making sails, as well as a little stockroom in the back. And under my sister, she had a study with a desk and library area. They were friggin' cool, and we spent a lot of time pretending to be shopkeepers and librarians. So, one day I have a friend over after school, and we are in my room with my brother and sister playing shop. As far as I can remember, I was always shopkeeper, and the others took turns being customers. We had probably been playing for half an hour or so, when my brother started kicking off that he couldn't be shopkeeper. My mom comes into our room and starts scolding us, saying that we need to play a new game and share or not play at all, because we weren't making a good impression on my friend, as it was her first visit over to my house. My mom then turns to ask my friend is she having a nice time, and if she would like a snack. And we couldn't seem to find her. None of us had left the room, or even opened the bedroom door, but she was simply not there. Our first reaction was obviously to look under the beds and in the shop and study underneath them, but she wasn't there. My mom stirred to panic at that moment, and called my friend's name and asked us where we last saw her. None of us could remember. We spread out, since the house wasn't very big, and we called her name as we looked. We went down the corridor leading to the workshop, since the entrance was right next to our bedroom door, hoping that she hadn't managed to get in there, as we knew it was dangerous. The door was locked. Mom found the key and opened the door, and it was completely untouched. No way the friend could have gone in there. But my mom searched the room just in case. After we realized she wasn't there, all of us started to panic. Our back garden was much larger than the house, so we all spread out into the garden, calling her name. She wasn't there either. The search must have gone on for 20 minutes or so, whilst my mom tried to keep us calm while trying to figure out if she should call her parents first or the police. This was back in the 90s, and we lived in a very quiet area, so I don't think she was thinking the worst, but definitely had no idea where she was. When we heard my friend's voice, we all go running back into our bedrooms, and she, my friend, is sitting in the corner looking very confused as to why we were all so worried. When we asked her where she had been, she simply said that she had gone for a walk with the man. She was super calm and didn't seem to realize that she had been missing, or that we had been all over the house and garden looking for her. Soon after, her parents arrived, and she left calmly and told us she had a lovely time. For a while, we were all so dumbfounded about what had happened, that only now, looking back, I do realize that her reaction to the whole thing might be the creepiest part. She didn't come over to play again, but funnily never mentioned it again either. As for the house and the creepy workshop, a lot of other stuff happened while we lived there. I'd be happy to share if anyone is interested. The other things that happened, I guess, would be classified as paranormal occurrences. But I'm a lot more cynical than I used to be. It would be interesting to see if anyone has a theory on this. I'm more inclined to believe it was a glitch than a ghost.